Valve just released a new Steam controller, and this is what it looks like. I like that they're colorful, because a lot of controllers right now are just bland. They all look like some variation of this. So colorful designs for a thing that is meant to be fun and not leave your house is good. I'm a fan of the colors. Now I wish there was red, but that's a different complaint. Now the company Valve is working with to make this controller is Hori, and I really don't know much about them. I know they make fighting game controllers, but that's pretty much it. I don't know if they're good or not. But with Valve getting more and more into hardware, I doubt they would partner with a company that would make them look bad at this point. So this controller at the very least is probably a functional working controller. I'm not gonna say if it's good or bad because I've never used this thing, and it's not even coming out in the US. Yeah, this is Japan only for some reason. And the stock is can be, if that means anything to you. And with this announcement of this controller, Valve also published data for how many people are using controllers on Steam. And that number is increasing really fast. Since 2018, the amount of people using controllers to play games on Steam has tripled. And unsurprisingly, most people use Xbox controllers because getting a PlayStation controller to work on a PC can be a nightmare. And the Xbox controller has pretty much always been compatible with PC. Besides the older 360 controllers, you had to get an adapter for those. But let's be honest, guys. The Xbox 360 controller is the best controller to have ever existed as of now. Nothing has beat it yet. It's the most popular, it's the most usable, it's the most universal. It is just the best controller. So it makes sense why most people would use it. And I know there's at least one person watching right now who is screaming about Valve's Steam controller. Because yeah, the Hori controller is not Valve's first controller. The Steam controller was their first controller. And this thing looks really weird. But even though this controller looks really weird and it looks like it would suck, every single person I've heard talk about this controller after using it for at least over an hour says it is probably the best controller to ever exist. And even though no one really bought this thing, it was still really important for Valve because if they didn't make this controller, the Steam Deck could have been much different because those big circles in the controller, those are touchpads. And the Steam Deck uses very similar touchpads. So even if this thing does look like an abomination, from what I've heard, it's pretty good. And the touchpads they put in the controller are identical to the Steam Decks, and the Steam Decks is really good. So even though it's discontinued, it still served its purpose. We salute you, Steam Deck controller. But going back to the Steam Hori controller, I am a little jealous that Japan gets this because they're getting a controller with like back buttons for like $70 or something. What the hell? All the controllers with back buttons here are like $160. But Japan gets this for like $70? That's a scam.